The former Lord Mayor of KMC says Mayor Talib Ahmed Bensouda has turned the Kanivi Municipal Council into a business center instead of serving the public. Bushmeat remains the most consumed source of meat in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And the UN General Assembly has adopted a resolution requesting the International Highest Court, or ruling on the country's respect of climate change. Well, this and more coming your way on The World Today. Hello, this is Eyeafrica TV and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin coming to you live from our studios in Banjul. Many thanks for joining us. I am Amadou Kante and now the news in details. Now, with just less than 2 months to the much talked about mayoral elections in the Gambia, the former mayor of the Kanivi Municipal Council, Yankuba Koli, has accused Mayor Talib Ahmed Bensouda of using the council as a business center rather than serving the people of the municipality. Yankuba Koli made this claim as he endorsed Bakary Badji as the aspiring mayoral candidate for the ruling National People's Party in the forthcoming mayoral elections due in May. He described Bakary Badji as hard-working and competent person for the position, saying they had worked together in the council many years ago. Mariama Cham has more details of that in this report.
Koli, the former mayor of the Kanivi Municipal Council under the Jammeh government, has on Wednesday confirmed his backing and support for Bakary Badji, mayoral aspirant of the National People's Party in the forthcoming mayoral race. Bakary Badji did not only get the backing of the former mayor Koli, but the support of Councillors Association of 2002. Yankuba Koli claimed that the reason which triggered his support to Bakary is to bring back order in KM, as Mayor Bensouda is only accommodating people close to him and not working in the general interest of the council.
The reason why we are endorsing him is because we want to take the ownership of the municipal council. But right now the council is distant from the population of the municipality. If you look at what is happening, the mayor's interest is only on people that are close to him and made the council move more of a business center than serving the people of the municipality.
Former Mayor Koli believes that Bakary is the right individual to handle KM as he describes the personality of the aspiring mayoral candidate.
Any council all the councils that are operating in Gambia, we are their benchmark. They take from us. We do and they follow. And that should continue. And we believe Bakary can do it. For Bakary, he's very close, very, very close to the people of the municipality. He's somebody who is down to earth, not big at all, and that's what we need.
In an acceptance speech of his endorsement, Bakary Badji said there is no need for comparison between the current Mayor Talib Ahmed Bensouda and his predecessor, especially in terms of the development of the council during their terms.
When you talk about records, you can count a lot of records that were registered under Lord Mayor Yankuba Koli and the council. And the people of the municipality know this. They know that when you're talking of comparisons, they don't even exist. But moving forward, we're looking forward to getting more and more engaged with the people so that they get to understand what the stakes are and they get to understand that all of these developments were done at a time that council was collecting minimal revenue. But we've seen an increase by 100% of revenue, and yet still we are not seeing those kind of markets and those kind of structures and those kind of schools being constructed under the period that the current Lord Mayor Talib Bensouda is serving.
The race for the mayoral seat is getting tougher between the incumbent Talib Ahmed Bensouda and the Minister of Youth and Sports Bakari Baji, as both candidates have started holding talks and endorsements. On May 20, 2023, the resident of the Kanifing Municipal Council will decide through the ballot box whether to maintain Talib Ahmed Bensouda for the second term or to flip the coin to Bakari Baji for the KM mayoral seat. For Eyeafrica, I am Mariama Cham.
Now, moving on, amid the persistent electricity crisis in South Africa, local businesses and some compound heads are switching to solar and batteries as an alternative option thanks to the newly introduced new indoor energy storage test bed. Now, the new energy service providers are cognizant of the different climate conditions in the country as they intend to be part of the solution to the energy crisis by providing more services to accommodate the rural areas. Now, let's have more details of that in this report.
The CSIR sees the test bed as a stepping stone for the intermittent challenge of renewable energy. With increased levels of load shedding, many businesses and residential homeowners are turning to both solar and batteries in an attempt to reduce their reliance on the grid.
Now the test bed will be testing batteries, cycling them, charging, discharging them with our core pieces of equipment, that being a temperature chamber and a battery tester. Now combining these two pieces of equipment will allow us to tell how these batteries will perform in the environment. So if you take, for instance, the Northern Cape, where we have very high temperatures, you select a battery and we'll be able to tell you how this battery will operate in that temperature.
It gives us the opportunity to test how different battery materials will be able to function under different climatic conditions that we have in the country. For instance, the climate conditions in the Karoo are different to what it is in the Limpopo. So we'll be able to simulate those environments and be able to say, well, this is what the expected performance of this battery will be under those conditions. So it's a very important component for the development of the battery industry for South Africa.
According to the CSIR, large-scale battery energy storage systems can be quickly manufactured and deployed, making batteries a reliable contributing solution to the load-shedding crisis. The CSIR insists, though, that this is not a complete solution to the load-shedding crisis here in South Africa.
Batteries will play an integral role in solving load shedding. It is there to meet the intermittency of renewable power. So like I say, it's not going to end load shedding, but it will be part of the solution.
These batteries are also useful for energy access in rural areas.
So a number of our rural areas are in mountainous or difficult to reach areas. Often you have to cross a bridge that gets flooded, or it's just too expensive or too difficult to actually get a transmission line to this point where the rural communities are. They are also subject to a lot of natural disasters where these transmission lines are severed. It takes forever to get them repaired. This is where batteries will come in. These tests are invaluable. They will tell you imperative data that you can use and basically get more money out. And we will be testing for new developments.
The new infrastructure and associated expertise will also strengthen South Africa's ability to support local players in the battery value chain, thereby boosting the country's capabilities in renewable energy storage.
And that energy-related report is coming from South Africa. Elsewhere in the continent, bush meat remains the most consumed source of meat in the Democratic Republic of Congo, both in the main urban area and in surrounding villages. Citizens in the Central African nation prefer wild meat for various reasons, including the affordability to domesticated meat, but traditional beliefs also motivate others to consume bush meat. As featured in this report, like in many cities in Central Africa, Congo-Brazzaville's 30-year-old only wild meat market is blooming as citizens converge for their night preferences. Here's more of that in this report.
Congo-Brazzaville is characterized by a forest cover of about 60%. and that makes it among Africa's richest nations when it comes to flora and fauna. And as you can imagine, there's a wide variety of animals in those forests and protected zones. And so as a result of that, bushmeat trade in this country is thriving. This is the Dragage market. It has been in existence for 30 years and is the only bushmeat market in Brazzaville. Here you find all kinds of animals. The market comes alive at night when Brazzaville residents have wrapped up their day and are getting ready for dinner preparations. Brazzaville, like many parts of Central Africa, has a long tradition of consuming wild animals. The reasons for the consumption of bushmeat are diverse. In some cases, it's because it's a cheaper alternative to domesticated meat. In other cases, it is purely due to an individual's taste buds.
I like wild pig, antelope and monkeys. I love bush meat because it's very sweet compared to meat from domesticated animals.
But beyond these reasons, there are also strong cultural beliefs that drive the consumption of bushmeat. Many communities in Brazzaville and across Central Africa believe that consuming certain types of bushmeat, particularly primates, can give spiritual or physical strength to the person who eats them. Bushmeat consumption is also often associated with traditional ceremonies and rituals.
We prepare crocodiles for the groom during the wedding ceremonies. Crocodiles are good for wedding parties because they symbolize respect and honor to the groom's family.
But as with everything else that's evolving around the world, so are the cultural beliefs around the consumption of bushmeat.
In the past, women were not allowed to eat certain animals such as snakes. It was forbidden. Snakes were considered to be a powerful and dangerous symbol of masculinity. Women only started eating snakes since they noticed that they did nothing wrong to their bodies. So there is nothing to worry about their reaction to the body.
Women didn't eat snakes before. They were eaten by men. But here in town, they discovered that snake meat is good, so they started eating it.
The cultural beliefs that drive the consumption of bushmeat in the country are deeply ingrained in the local culture and are often passed down through generations. The cultural significance of bushmeat means that it is likely to remain a part of the local diet for the foreseeable future.
You are watching the World Today News Bulletin coming to you live from our studios in Banjul. This is Eyeafrica TV, and from the report there, we now take a break and come back shortly. Welcome back. This is Eyeafrica TV, and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin. And once again, many thanks for joining us. Let's now look at the rest of the stories. Now, the United Nations General Assembly adopted by a consensus a resolution requested an advisory opinion of the International Court of Justice on the obligations of states in respect of climate change. The resolution was drafted by Vanuatu and inspired by Pacific Island law students that want the international legal system to deliver climate justice. Let's have more details of that in this report by Maria Macham.
The resolution asks the International Court of Justice to clarify states' obligations regarding climate change, including their human rights obligations to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The resolution also asks the court for guidance on questions of accountability for states that have caused significant harm to the climate, including concerning small island states, people, and individuals adversely affected by climate change. Before the adoption, the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres made his remarks in the General Assembly Hall. Guterres said that ICJ's opinion will lead the General Assembly to take strict actions on climate change.
Climate justice is both a moral imperative and a prerequisite for effective global climate action. The climate crisis can only be overcome through cooperation between peoples, cultures, nations, generations. But festering climate injustice feeds divisions and threatens to paralyze global climate action.
I take it that the Assembly decides to adopt draft resolution A/77/L58.
In 2021, Vanuatu announced its intention to seek an ICJ advisory opinion. Since then, Vanuatu built a core group of 18 countries to join its bid, including Angola, Bangladesh, Morocco, Mozambique, and other countries. Meanwhile, after the adoption of the resolution, the Prime Minister of Vanuatu, Alitua Ismail Kalsakau, said the resolution is not a silver bullet, but a tool to make an important contribution to climate change, climate action, and the Paris Agreement.
The legal questions contained in the draft resolution represent a careful balance achieved after extensive consultations whilst safeguarding its integrity. At the heart of the question is a desire to further strengthen our collective efforts to deal with climate change, give climate justice the importance it deserves, and bring the entirety of international law to bear on this unprecedented challenge. We believe that the ICJ can do this.
Solomon Yeo, who is representing the Pacific Island students fighting climate change, told reporters that the move by the students looks optimistically towards the future.
Young people, of course, standing across everywhere, joining hands with the Pacific Island students, as well as young people has been focusing on the campaign. We look optimistically toward the future, especially to the second phase, where the matter will then refer to the court and initiate the court proceedings. We hope to see that young people voices, as well as voices of other vulnerable groups across the world, can be represented truthfully and meaningfully at the International Court of Justice.
The International Court of Justice accepts requests for advisory opinions on questions of international law from certain UN bodies, including the General Assembly. The General Assembly submits its request to the ICJ through a formal resolution. Though the ICJ's advisory opinions are non-binding, they can carry great moral and legal authority and can ultimately become part of customary international law, which is legally binding on states. Supporters of the initiative hope that the ICJ's advisory opinion will direct countries to strengthen their domestic climate policies by reducing greenhouse gas emissions and catalyze more ambitious cooperation on climate change among states to protect the rights of at-risk populations in the countries most affected by the climate crisis. Reporting for Eyeafrica News, I am Mariama Cham.
And let's end this news bulletin with climate change-related matters too, but this time here in the African continent, because Somalian authorities are deploying measures to support the people affected by severe flash floods that hit the country, which resulted in heavy destruction in some areas, especially among the farming community. Now, despite the government-initiated measures to mitigate the flooding effects, some areas were adversely affected. Thus, over $1 million is needed for assistance amid the effect of the long drought in the country. And let's have more details of that in this report.
From the impact of severe drought situation, which resulted in the deaths of 3,000 Somalis, mainly farmers, to flash floods killing at least 20 people, climate change has not been kind to Somalia. With limited resources, the government of Somalia is struggling to help those impacted by this latest disaster.
We've seen a very difficult situation where people lost their lives, others wounded, properties destroyed. We haven't had something like this before. It is like a landslide. We pray to the Almighty for relief on this.
Farmers like Jammeh Hassan have been out of their land during the past years due to delayed rainy seasons, which are essential for growing crops. With the resumption of agricultural activities, the threat of flash floods to newly grown seeds is imminent.
We are facing threats of flash floods from the river to our newly planted crops after the just received rains. Already the river is overflowing with water.
The rivers are already full, but the fear of devastating floods is not there for now in regions like Hiran. Authorities say various projects were implemented to reduce the risk of flooding.
We have installed flood protection walls in more than 60 locations. That is why during the past 2 years there were no flooding and no displacement of people, as previously witnessed, which interrupted education and business activities. We are grateful to Almighty for that.
The IGAD bloc has appealed for $1.6 billion to provide assistance to Somalis impacted by the drought conditions experienced in the country. From severe drought situation to threats of famine and now flash floods due to torrential rains, the impact of climate change is threatening Somalia's food security, a country with rich traditional agricultural sector.
And that climate change-related report from Somalia eventually brings us to the end of this news edition. But for more details on this and other stories, as always, as ever, you can visit on our website, Eyeafrica.tv. But for now, many thanks for the pleasure of your company. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and do have a pleasant evening. Bye for now.